diplomacy toward the European policy on palm oil. And this is not the title that I choose by myself, it's given by the committee, so I try to do my best. Now, the outline, I'm going to talk a bit on the statistics of palm oil. I think we need to know at least in which stage we are now, the state of affairs on palm oil, current issues relating to palm oil, relation with Europe, engaging the world, and some summary conclusion and way forward. Now, I would like to start now with some statistics on palm oil. So you can see now, if you compare the last 10 years, 2009 and 2017, we have almost double from barely 20 million tons, but now we have a production of 41 million tons of palm oil. Out of this number, 31 million we exported abroad, and for about 11 million we use it domestically. Next one. Now, this is the game changer. 30 years ago, if you are talking about palm oil in Indonesia, that means a big company doing things on palm oil. But now it's quite different, especially in the last 10 years. We are talking a new game changer. We are talking about smallholder. We are talking about SDGs as the basis of the way we view palm oil. So the palm oil industry in Indonesia holds important role on the improvement of social welfare and regional stability. So at least you can see these two important statistics. If we are talking about palm oil, just remember, we are talking about the employment of 5.5 million people, and together with the dependents indirectly related with palm oil, we are talking about 12 million people, 5 million. Now, the second one, can we go back? This part, so the economic structure of the palm oil, 41% of those who are working in the palm oil is actually smallholder. And about 59% is either big companies or private companies or state-owned companies. So this 41% is the object and subject of our diplomacy today, protection of the interests of our smallholder. The next one, we can also see, next slide please. The world today cannot afford living without oil and fats. This is the fact. So you can see that the development in the last 25 years. This is the data from 1990s. Yeah. The world market needs 83 million tons of oil and fat, and this is today we need about 20 to 220 million tons of oil and fat. This is the consumption of the world, 3 times larger than 25 years ago. It's only 40% or so. Now they supply the world consumption by more or less 30%. That is the state of affairs today. Next one. Now it comes to the so-called the perils of productivity. Now the real politics of it, that we can see that palm oil is the most productive crops in the world today. Yeah. So if you compare with the other products like soybeans, sunflower, and rapeseed, and the palm oil is the most efficient in the sense that to produce 45 million tons of vegetable oil. For soybean, you are going to need 122 million hectares of land. And because the production is only 0.4 ton per hectare, this is soybeans. Yeah. And mostly we discussed this in terms of Brazil, Amazon forest, and so on. Now, on palm oil, if you would like to produce 65 tons of vegetable oil, you only need 16 million hectares of land. So you can see the big difference on productivity between soybeans and palm oil. And this will be the subject of real politics, contention between farmers who are engaging on soybeans, sunflowers, rapeseed. First, these are the farmers or smallholders of palm oil. And this, we cannot escape the real politics in the relation between Indonesia and European Union, where most of the sunflowers and rapeseed farmers are located as So we got to protect our voters, our democracy. They too, democratic countries, they need to protect their voter as well. So this is the game changers that will change the nature of the relation between the two democracies, the European democracy and democracy in Asia. The next one, I just would like to read the statement of AU Ambassador to Indonesia, Mr. Vincent Duren, of the AU Renewable Energy Directive, the RED, includes a gradual reduction of the amount of certain categories of biofuel counted toward our ambitious renewable energy target. Biofuel will be assessed equally regardless of the source. The next will not be singled out. The text will not single out nor ban palm oil. This is the promise. The AU is and remains the most open market for Indonesian palm oil. So it's not about the ban. This is about protecting the climate change. But then we remember the previous statistic. The more you rely on soybeans, the more you rely on sunflowers, you need more land being cultivated. And land is a scarcity now. If you rely on the sustainable palm oil, not bad palm oil, but sustainable one, then you need less land. So this must be put into equation as well. Next one. We skip this. Next one. Now, when RED 2 will become law? Now we have sometimes about two years from now, basically. Following this political agreement on the text of the directive will have to be formally approved by the European Parliament and the Council of the EU. Once endorsed by both co-legislators in the coming months, the updated Renewable Energy Directive, the RED 2, will be published in the official journal of the Union and will enter into force 20 days after publication. But EU member states will have to transpose the new elements of the directive into national law in the next 18 months after the entry into force. So this is more or less the time limits. We still more or less about 2 years to negotiate with the Union. But at the same time, we also have some parallel processes. Not only in terms of trilogues, but we also have the Amsterdam Declaration, for instance. The Amsterdam Declaration is a different process, and it's announced by countries like Denmark, France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, Norway, and the United Kingdom. So it is a commitment to support 100% sustainable palm oil in Europe. It says we declare to work together and support each other in transforming toward 100% sustainable palm oil for chain in Europe by 2020. Next one, how we assess the current development. The next one. Now, the first three, vocal against palm oil, you understand that, the Amsterdam Declaration, we already mentioned it. But the other four process here is sometimes a bit prejudicial. So we have the AU studies, we have NGOs very active on palm oil, and then market campaigns and trade war. Now, summary of policies and initiatives in Europe that contribute to the perception of discrimination. I'm going to say that it is not discriminatory in nature when in terms of law, but if we see in the whole context of the NGO campaign, the study, and then on the market campaign and so on, we run the risk, the trajectory direction toward discrimination at the end of the day. Now, one of the study, next one, for instance, on the islands, indirect land use of change. The idea is producing feedstocks and for bioenergy, they are legal. But then they do it at the expense of the existing food security. Either the palm oil will be for vegetable oil for eating or for energy. And then somehow you need another extension of land to cultivate the food security, because the existing land you already devoted for the energy security. This is the whole context of the island. But the problem is that science matters. In here, we have in the letters that we're going to discuss in Xiaomi, we have CRC 990, and then we have the university in Jambi, Tagulago, and IPB in Bogor. They're striving to how science can intervene, in which extensification is no longer an option, but intensification will be an option. So with the same size of land, you improve the production. So for instance, smallholder, if you are talking about smallholder, the production is only 1 ton, 2 tons per hectare per year. But the big companies, they can reach 6 tons, 8 tons sometimes per year. So can you imagine if science can reach the smallholder, 41% of the total production, they increase the size of production from 1 to 2 tons into 4 tons, then you can improve the productivity of some palm oil without extending the land, the existing land. And this is actually the nature of the moratorium, both on palm oil and also for us. Yeah. Just quickly, next, some kind of campaign that we have. This is from Nestle, for instance, mentioning on the Natfa, Natvia, and Lavida. There's some palm oil free labeling in here, and this is from the KLM. If you fly KLM last year, you find a booklet in KLM say that the food of KLM is only used as a sustainable source, not palm oil. And then the next one, there is a protest from Indonesian side by the CPOPC. CPOPC is the Council of Producing Palm Oil, Council of Country Producing Palm Oil. This is like some kind of OPEX, but it's from palm oil. There is a communication in here. You can see that, okay, this is not a nice thing to confuse people with the black campaign on that. And then perhaps now if you fight KLM games, there is no such thing in the booklet anymore. Now, what will be the reaction on this issue? The first one on the regional diplomacy. Now, last year actually, we established the so-called the CPOPC, Council of Palm Oil Processing Countries. It's just perfectly like OPEC. The main producer is Indonesia and Malaysia, but now Colombia also joining. So 94% of the total production of palm oil is part of the CPOPC. And the purpose of CPOPC is to produce more sustainable palm oil, to have a standard good behavior in development of palm oil according to the agreed standard of sustainability. Now, at the same time, at the ASEAN level, you can see the ASEAN Summit statement in Manila last year. And the statement is this: we noted the concern expressed over adoption of the resolution on palm oil and deforestation of rainforest by the European Parliament on 4 April 2017, which discriminates against oil palm cultivation by singling out as being the largest contributor to the deforestation to the detriment of the palm oil industry in the region. So this is a statement from ASEAN country. Next. So aside from establishing a council of palm oil processing countries also working together to have a better solution in its relation with the European Parliament. Yeah. And this is the statement of ASEAN as at the top level, because we are talking about the leaders' statement here, presidents and leaders. Next one, at bilateral levels, we also strive on the palm oil deal through negotiations. So, for instance, now we are in the midst of negotiating with the European Union on this European Union, European CEPA, Comprehensive Economic Partnership. Our position is that palm oil must be part of the negotiation in the Indonesian CEPA with European Union. Now, it's important because we are talking about the largest source of trade in Indonesia, palm oil, and part of the negotiation as well. The next one to see the change in the market. So this is the situation in the 1990s, yeah, about 25 years ago. You can see that European Union market is actually the largest market for the Indonesian palm oil. It's part of European Union, but now it's shrinking. Yeah, 2011, yeah, European Union is only that much, and we have the new largest market coming in, like India, China, and many others. So the point is that the exportation of palm oil in Europe is still increasing, but the size of the market is decreasing tremendously. Yeah. You can see the comparison. That part in the 1990s, and this part only in 2017. The next one, in China, for instance, is the new growing market for palm oil. If China changed the policy to implement the B5, this is more than enough to absorb, to stop all the exportation of palm oil into Europe and channeling back to China. Yeah. And this year, China already signed of more importation of palm oil from Indonesia, 1.2 million tons. Yeah. And then also the deal, for instance, we are going to buy some Sukhoi, and we are going to pay Sukhoi with palm oil. This is not a new thing because we also sell our airplane to Thailand, and they pay back with sticky rice. Yeah. So I think that the barter like this is one possibility also to increase the market access outside Europe. The next one, I think it is also important to optimize domestic market for palm oil. We ran out of the fossil fuel in the next 10 years. And then we need to rely more and more on the new renewable energy potential. And we know that bioenergy has a potential of 32 gigawatt in Indonesia, and now we barely only use 1.7 gigawatt from bioenergy, including palm oil. So, for instance, this is the latest statement from the Minister of Trade, Economics. Sorry. So the B2 mandatory use start effective next month, and this will be a lot of absorption into domestic market because we are going to implement of our fuel for transport will be from CPO. Now, as a summary, number one, before that, I think we have some more slides, and then we move to the next slide. Yeah. Now, this is the science part. I mean, yes, we have problem with sustainability of palm oil. This is must be acknowledged and must be improved. Yeah? If we would like to survive the next generation still doing business in palm oil, and sustainability is a must. And part of it that we have now a collaborative research center on 990 with the German friends. Yeah? The point is that cooperation is the key, not contention. Yeah? Europe, if they have problem with sustainability, help us to improve our sustainability. We must open for European offer on that too. Yeah. So changing an attitude on a domestic level also very important. So the CRC 990 is a project on the use of forest to other uses. Yeah. And it has been there for about 5 to 10 years, and they produce a good result of it. And we learn a lot how to improve sustainability parts. Number two, the next one, in Jambi, we also have the regular oil palm course in Bogor with the fund from Dana Sawit and also from the Foreign Ministry. So this is the last year program, 2017. We have participants mostly from Europe coming here and to learn how we strive to improve our sustainability. They see and they stay actually with the smallholder in the village and see the daily life of the smallholders and tell them in which they can learn the story how welfare of the smallholder has been improved because of palm oil and how they are committed to sustainable palm oil, because this smallholder is part of the RCPO already and also ICPO. Now, for this year, we are going to organize the same course for the youngsters from Europe, and it will be started next week, actually, in Jambi as well. And we also have program. We designed a program with UNDP for the so-called palm oil for peace, because we have conflict in Aceh before, and the former label, they got land from the government and the local government, and they cultivate either cacao, palm oil, or coffee as a part of this deal. So we are going to organize it with the Colombian friends, because in Colombia, they also have the palm oil for peace with the former label. Now, we designed the program with the University of Jambi and the UNDP and also ICRC. And the former combatant from Aceh, from Colombia, and we are going to invite also from Thailand to have programs about Penn State and how crops, not necessarily palm oil, but crops can be used, agrarian policy can be used as a peace process as well. So this is more or less the program. The interpretation. Now this is also important to see how we interpret the move in European Union. Now, number one, biofuel utilization for each year during what is happening with the Red II. The quantitative restriction has the potential to become a non-tariff barrier, which turn violate the WTO principle. And I think we really keep an eye on that, whether or not Red II become a non-tariff barrier. Hopefully not. But if this is the case, this will be violate the WTO principle. Number two interpretation is that criteria used by European Union in limiting biofuel is not an international accepted rules. Hence, the potential to violate also the WTO principle, especially when the limitation is not applied to European Union domestic products. So, if there is discriminatory nature like that you have some exemption on the European products, on vegetable oil and so on, this will be another potential violation to the WTO principle. Number three interpretation is that the gradual reduction of post-2030 usage is not based on the internationally accepted criteria as well, and this also have a potential to violate WTO principle. Now, Indonesian current position pending to the finalization of the Red II. The first, there is risk, in our opinion, that Red II turns to be discriminative toward palm oil, and hence we are going to bring the case to WTO. Number two, we already forward the issue on the Committee of Technical Barrier to Trade in Geneva as specific trade concern with it. And we demand clarification from EU about the detail of the Red II, but of course they haven't finished the process now, but we work together with them to see what is the potential of the Red II turn into non-trade barrier, non-technical barriers. Now, we standing firm in our position until the final Red II process is completed into national domain, which is 18 years or 2 years from now, 18 months or 2 years from now. Now, way forward, we try to integrate a common position among palm oil producing countries through the Council of Palm Oil Processing Countries, CPOPC, and regional bodies such as ASEAN that we already did last year, and we also have the increasing number of countries joining the CPOPC now. Linkage between palm oil issues and comprehensive economic partnership agreement with the European College, the European friends. We did it also now. And promoting a legal regime on vegetable oil. That's important, that we would like to have a regime of vegetable oil across the board, not only for palm oil, but also from soybeans, for rapeseed, and for sunflower, all within one single package of legal regime on vegetable oil. And the basic of measurement will be the SDGs, and we are going to do it with UNCTAD and other similar countries. Now again, last but not least is on the game changer. We would like to emphasize again that for us now, sustainability I think is the most important one. We try to do our best. It's not easy. It will involve law enforcement in the ground, research with French institutions like Göttingen University and Wageningen University and the Netherlands to have the sustainability. Of course, in Indonesia, and smallholders now is the main our main object for protection. It's not we are no longer talking about the business of the company, but we need to strengthen the position of the smallholder. 41% of the production is from smallholders. To inject them with more knowledge on sustainability, to inject them with more knowledge on the side of the palm oil. Replanting now is the most crucial time. We can do the replanting with the correct seed, with the better seed. We are going to increase production with a better management, with the intensification philosophy rather than extensification philosophy, the usage of the land. And Indonesia already take leadership on that. We are the largest producer of palm oil, and at the same time, we are also the largest consumer of palm oil. The largest consumer of palm oil is Indonesia, not other countries. Now, consolidation is also very important. That's why in CPOC, the Council of Processing Palm Oil, we try to have the best solution through cooperation with large country to negotiate with them. So we are not necessarily to be in the trajectory coalition between the two different interests. I think I have to stop here, and perhaps we can explore more during the discussion.